Okay, so I call the October 26th, I know. Then motion to go out of executive session.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So we're in general session for the October 26th, 2022 Lewes Board of Public Works meeting. The first thing, let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic
For which it stands,
one nation, God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence. Thank you. So in the room, we have Tom Owen, Earl Webb, and myself. On the call, we have Presley and Richard Nichols. The mayor is with us, our solicitor, Austin, and general manager, assistant general manager. And so the first item on the agenda is discussion of transfer of plumbing inspections from BPW to the city of Lewes.
What?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Never mind. Too many pieces of paper. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve, or anyone want to pull it?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item is Inframark report.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Okay, so starting with the filters, we started recovery cleans on, we're gonna go through all 4 trains. We started beginning of last week. First, we do a hypochlorite recovery clean and then followed by a citric acid recovery clean. Takes about a week till we get one done. So we're working on the second one. Train 2, finishing up train 2 today. We'll start on train 3 tomorrow. No other issues with the filters. Everything's operating well. Dropping down to pump stations. We're it's still moving along with PS3, checking the station every day. The bypass fittings and valves are in case we had any issues there. Pump station 16, we talked about that last month. We're down to 1 pump. Austin approved a purchase of a second pump from Hills. The pump we sent in was beyond repair, or economically or beyond repair. So I checked this morning with Hills, that pump's to ship beginning of next week. So we do have the bypass fittings there as well and valves. So we would be able to hook up the bypass pump in an emergency. Pump station 13, it's a small pump station on Slay Avenue, only has 1 pump. We had a couple issues there, became aware that there's no spare pump. It's a 1 pump station. So I got solicited prices from Hills and Fremeyer for a spare pump. I'm still waiting on a price from STH. So when I get the quotes, I'll forward them on to Austin.
Staying on that point, how many single pump stations do we have? I guess I'm not aware.
Any of them, most of the E1s are 1 pumps.
Where E1s?
Yeah, only the E1s and Schley Avenue. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Schley Avenue is small. It's an an inch and a quarter pump. It's a very small pump.
Oh, okay.
How many houses does it serve? Do you know?
It's right there at BPW,
Yeah.
the old power plant, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So,
So just, okay.
Moving on, we reached out, we had contractors out to look at the sump pumps and to give us pricing on the predictive maintenance for the electrical grid and switch gear. Nobody had gotten back to us. I followed up with them earlier this week, and they're to be getting me quotes for those projects. As far as personnel, you guys know that Richard left last month or beginning of this month. Been interviewing people, didn't find the right fit. So in the interim, I've been here Monday through Thursday afternoon. I got Dave Weed covering for me whenever I'm not here. I did contact DenRec and they were okay with the code DRCs. So we submitted the paperwork for the change in operators. So everything's been going well. We're getting the plant cleaned up. We got rid of those skids of diametrous earth in the one storage building, and we moved the bypass pump into there. So to keep that undercover, and guys are working on getting the plant cleaned up.
So in terms of reaching out to folks for interviewing and so forth, what kind of response are you getting?
It's very difficult to find a level 4 in Delaware. We've been using some headhunters and reaching out to folks, from other states, but we have our recruiters. It's important to find the right fit too. So I don't want to just hire, the first person with a level 4 license. So I've interviewed probably 6 people so far. We've one gentleman was from Georgia, and we were we put a project manager level. Once I recommend somebody, we have what's called a panel interview, where we have folks from our corporate office, from HR, finance, health and safety, compliance, and technical side interview. So I put him forward for that, but he withdrew because his wife decided he didn't want to move up here. So he was a good candidate. So, but things are working out okay right now with me and Dave Weed sharing the responsibility. So like I said, I don't want to rush and get the wrong person.
And only just the pista grip was also being finicky. It has been for a while, but Fremar came in, Mike coordinated. So thank you for that. And they replaced the probe, I believe.
Yeah, it's like a liquid sensing probe. So it senses when the pump's primed. So, and that's been replaced. So hopefully he went over the whole panel, said everything looks in order. So hopefully
Okay.
that'll end our issues.
And just so that everybody has an update, because I asked Charlie, on the headwork side, you finally got the drawings back. So that has to go through CAD on your side. And that would be sent off to Keystone for final engineering on the electrical. And then submitted to DenRec.
We bid that while it's still at DenRec.
You're reading my mind. I think you take a little bit of a risk, because if DenRec comes back and changes or has questions or provides feedback in any way, you're kind of like, you'd have to do a change order or something, bid alternate. I'll put it to you this way. We had an initial discussion and we reached out to DenRec to let them know where we stood and kind of our path forward, to help them kind of guide it, push it, keep it moving on their side under the review.
Mike, you just want to give a brief overview of what you saw during Ian at the wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah, we had we had higher flows to the EQ tank. I believe Sunday evening it caught up, but we didn't have significant. I mean, we didn't have any high levels at any of the pump stations through the whole storm. You know, we had tidal flooding at the roadway at the treatment plant that gave us some issues, but plant kept up. Richard slept there the Sunday night to make sure that, make sure he could get back in and make sure the membranes, all 4 membranes were online. So, but we didn't have any high levels or excursions or overflows.
And I don't think you were here, or you weren't here, when Suez did their last visit to the plant.
Mhm.
Richard took them through. There were 2 set points that they had, one that they had changed while they were here, and another one that they were going to suggest a change to improve the efficiency of the membranes. They had to do with back pulse durations. Do you aware of that, or?
I'm not aware of that. I'll have to follow back up with Suez.
Okay, yeah, because Matt was here and
Okay.
he was talking about reducing the length of the back poles from 10 minutes to 5 minutes to reduce cost and also to get more performance out of the filters.
Yeah, that hasn't occurred. I mean, I know they're still set at 10 minutes.
Okay. Was that Matt's action? Do you remember, or?
Remember, I wasn't at that meeting.
Oh, that's right.
It was Matt, yeah.
Okay,
I'll follow up with Matt.
all right.
And then during the Ian event, Rich and I were texting basically all throughout the night, just keeping us. That was before Mike was down here full time. So he kept us in the loop. He kept me in the loop when they got high in the EQ tank. So they just changed up some set points and processed a little bit more through the membranes, and she came back down.
In the past, when we had heavy rains, we would get high levels at PS4, but with the new check valves and new rotating assemblies, it kept up better.
And then my last question is on the last Suez report, the 10.5. One of the comments was that the permeability had decreased on train 1, and they believed it was due to the length of time from the last recovery clean.
Yeah, we had done manual recovery cleans that Suez. If you initiate it automatically, they get the notification. But at the end of manually picking each train, Richard did a manual recovery clean, and I sent that information off to Erin, and
Okay.
she verified that was done.
Okay, so it's just because it wasn't on the automatic cycle, they
Yeah.
didn't get it through.
So we're currently doing the recovery cleans. We're using the automatic cycle. It's a bit difficult because when you have any kind of hiccup, it aborts and there's no button to restart. So a lot of times we're initiating it automatically, but have to finish it manually. And it's just working through the bugs.
Do you know what the reason for the aborts are?
Yeah, there's different things. One of the things that we have to if we dose, and then if we check the residual for the hypochlorite or the pH for the acid, if we have to dose more, we have to put things in manual, and then it aborts
Okay.
so it's probably easier just to do the whole thing in manual, but I was trying to make it easier, do it in automatic and try to work out all the bugs so we could do it more easily next time.
Are you noticing any changes in things like wipes in the pipes, et cetera, as you look at the dewatering containers and those kind of things? Does it kind of come back, or is it less than what it used to be?
Well, I can't really answer that. We haven't had near the clogging issues. The dewatering container is covered and the guys clean that, Mondays and Fridays. And I can't say that I've been out there looking at it. So, and it's
I can
ground up into a slurry. So, but I know we haven't had the issues at PS4 with the clogging, and we haven't had a lot of clogging issues.
That's all caveated by knock on wood. But-
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of hard work also went
Thank
into
you,
that
Austin.
with
Yeah.
members of the team.
Any
Okay.
other questions?
No.
Mike,
right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Like-
Have a great night, guys.
You too.
Actually, that would be you, Press, just so you know.
Thank you.
So item 7, President's Report. The only ones I have, and I think Austin's got the majority of them on his list, is we had a meeting with DenRec on the state park. And we'll be meeting with them again in November.
Yeah.
I can't remember. And so this is to allow for the state park to send their sewage to BPW and us to treat it. And Charlie was there representing us from the engineering side. We have some things we need to clean up with the state. And the other item is I've attended 2 meetings on the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. This is the new bill from the feds, and some more detail is starting to come out, but it's still cloudy as what goes into our sewage treatment plant. And so there'll be more details on that. One of the things that is not clear, while it has a lot of emphasis on clean energy, electric vehicles, is what funding is available for strengthening the grid from a storm resiliency or from an electrification, EVs, heat pumps perspective. So we're still in a standby mode there. No one has any great detail unless, Scott, do you have anything more?
No.
That was Scott Lynch, our representative or from DMAC. Okay, then I'll turn it over to Austin.
All right, so the big highlights on the GM report is we're continuing to button up the Pilot Town Road punch list items. The Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park bid opening, we did move the bid opening from October 27th to October 31st. That was because we had some questions and comments that came in from contractors. We issued an addenda and we wanted to make sure that we gave them enough time. It does not change the bid opening. It doesn't prolong the process. As part of tonight's meeting, we're going to select the date for to have the actual bid opening, and then we're going to look to schedule a meeting sometime. Shooting for November 17th at 6 p.m. is what we're going to shoot for. And that would be a community meeting, everybody in one place, one time, representatives from the city, GMB, the contractor, us. So we're hashing that all out. We sent an email to all the residents of Donovan Smith just to give them an update on when the bid opening was going to take place and to be on the lookout for that email and letter that will be sent, just kind of giving the meeting dates and laying out what's to come there. We continue our discussions with GHD on the long range plan study for the wastewater treatment plant. One of the other things that we came away with from our trip to Savannah for the APPA conference was parametric insurance. So we actually reached out to our insurance carrier, which is HMS. We have a meeting tomorrow to kind of go over that policy and what it looks like. So it'd be interesting to see kind of where it falls in line, the cost of it, kind of what the policy looks like. We also continue to meet with Mike Hogan and Richard Nichols. We're going through all the financials for the finance committee. We got a proposal for Suez on the Insight contract. So they basically said we can price lock. So we moved ahead and price lock for 3 years, which will allow us to not see those increases. It essentially was cutting a PO that stays open, and the price would be the same for the next 3 years, billed annually. Kim and I and Robin met with the University of Delaware for some grant assistance. The mayor shared a link to us. We were the first ones that took advantage of the individual meetings. So we had a nice conversation with them. Told them we're ready for a blank check whenever they want to send it over. So it was a good conversation, get it started, kind of lay out what we need on our end, and kind of help them help us.
What would the grant be for?
It's all, we laid out every project that we could think of. And then they basically said they're waiting for a little bit more to be hashed out within the IRA clarification. And then they would help us in terms of writing it, because you're essentially trying to write a story for yourself to kind of sell yourself. So we talked about hardening infrastructure within the floodplain, pump stations, undergrounding utilities, kind of all encompassing. We said about the water tower, the canal crossing. So we'll see. They're going to touch base with us in a month or two. And we'll kind of see how it all plays out. It's new. It's a new program. So
it's open for anything. It doesn't have to be related to University of Delaware in any way.
Nope. They're just there as a resource to us.
Thank you.
Yep. And then we, just as a reminder, hydrant flushing is scheduled for 11/8 and 11/9, and household hazardous waste is this weekend from 10 to 2 at Schley Avenue, and drug take back. Josh?
We've talked about the IRA, and I see here that you've talked to the battery people. Any progress on that, or is it still cloudy about the terms?
Same exact thing. So the biggest I guess the biggest aspect of the bill is the incentive program from the tax side, and whether or not we would be able to take advantage of that. You're still dealing with supply chain issues because of the uncertainty, and it comes down to a timing aspect. But the conversations continue as the clarification begins to kind of take the clouds away.
But the IRA does specifically call out battery storage or energy storage in general. So it is in the envelope, but and there are a lot of caveats as to prevailing wage, using non-tax money. So there's a lot of details that need to be considered at this point.
Okay.
All right.
Josh is going to give his.
Oh, okay. And Josh and
I'll be quick. Our trending data for our security, for the detected intrusions are certainly trending downward to a normal, to what we expect is our normal. So we're in the low hundreds. So that's certainly acceptable for what we usually experience. And we've been able to mitigate several this month we had 6 malware or verified malware infections that were attempted. We've mitigated every one of those. The AT&T FirstNet migration. So we went ahead and we've completed, or we're just about complete the last of the devices where we've been able to upgrade the entire fleet of mobile devices. And, changing from carrier to carrier certainly added to the length of time, but it was certainly still within the acceptable realm. We're about 4 days in for all of the schedules working with people. The cyber audit, we went ahead and we've completed that with the company called Cyber. Formerly, they were known as DFDR. Overall, our results were very favorable. The small punch list that we did have, we've remediated a fair amount of those issues, and we've got only a couple of items left on that list that we're looking to complete. And then moving forward, we're looking at, we just began our, the next quarterly physical checks of our inventory for remote assets. So now we're going out to the field, literally putting our hands on each one of those devices, verifying that the serial numbers are right, making sure that each one of those assets are in good, proper working order.
Thank
Good,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And then Sharon from Public Power and everything, do you want to give an update on that?
So Public Power, I think, was a success. Myself and Chris went out to the farmer's market 2 weekends ago. We were able to hand out every light bulb that we brought with us, so and gave them some energy efficient info. We also gave away some gift baskets, and we had a great response from the customer satisfaction surveys that we sent out. The last one we sent out was in 2011. We only received 300 responses. We received over 700 this time around. And we did fairly well overall. We got between 4 and 4.5 out of 5. So I think that's pretty good. The biggest concerns we did see was the brown water, and a lot of people don't like the ready to serve charges. So that was the biggest complaints. Other than that, it went fairly well. The other issue that is coming up in December is the Lewes lights. We were reached out to see if we would like to participate this year. They were looking to see if we would be willing to offer some sort of incentive to participate. So we've come up with a couple ideas, went over it with Kim, just see what is feasible. We're looking at either doing some sort of gift basket and just do a random drawing. However, we also thought maybe for the first 50 registrants, maybe a $25 credit on their December bill. But we wanted to see how you guys felt about this. Did you have any ideas?
Add context. I had a little bit of insight on this. So I had mentioned about talking to like local restaurants and kind of getting a basket put together where, you know, we can give some BPW merchandise or water bottles, and maybe you have, you know, one of the local restaurants puts in a $25 gift card, and we kind of put a cumulative basket together, and then we can raffle it off to, you know, whoever signs up, as long as, you know, they came in and let us know that they've done so.
If we give them a credit on our bill, aren't we running against our resolution?
For the donation policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gift card would be different, so that you could do something like that.
So if other businesses donated the gift card, what if they do not? Would we be against that policy if we go out and purchase the gift cards?
I don't think so. What the policy is, as I remember, says is we can't give discounts. We can't give free electric, or we can't give any free services, that kind of thing.
Except to the city.
Except to the city, except to the city. Yeah, I forgot that. How did I forget that? So giving them a credit on their bill,
Okay.
I think would come into that. And I don't know, Mike, maybe you can. Well, never mind. That's just.
I'm all for the program, but I don't think that we should get into that. I mean, that's not something that we don't usually contribute anything of value to
Okay.
anybody. In fact, at the farmer's market, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody was really upset about the contribution we made to the hospital and the fire department during COVID. I mean, they really were upset about us giving their money to them. And so the public is sensitive to that. And I agree with the policy, except for that one exception, which I think it was warranted because that was a once in a hopefully lifetime event with COVID. But so I would be very careful about this.
I concur. I think the gift basket is fine.
Okay.
The credits to bills.
All right.
Seems
All right.
like it.
Well, then I'll start going around town, see who wants to contribute, and then
Yeah.
we'll see what we get.
On the customer satisfaction surveys, can
Mhm.
we get copies of that and look at some
I do. Mhm.
training information?
Sure do.
It was a long time.
Yep.
Perfect.
Kim?
All right, for the financials, I have 3 different financials, our monthly, year-to-date, and a quarter 2. So you might hear the same information 3 times, just pretend like it's your first time hearing it.
Quarterly piece. I thought that was good.
For September, for line 2 commercial, the sewer, I had my notes in there investigating further because I didn't want to rush to find the answer. I want to find the correct answer. So DRBA had a replacement of their cooling system. And with that decrease in water, their sewer bill actually went down a little over $4,000. So that would be the difference there. For industrial SPI, they've been down the past 2 months. Me and Laura have tried to reach out to them through email, phone calls. I even filled out a contact us form on their website. We cannot get a hold of them to see if this is a permanent thing or what's going on to decrease their usage for water and electric. The municipal is down. That's to do with the street light readings. The line 12, repairs and maintenance, our distribution is higher, and what goes into distribution is just like random things that we buy for the field. Like for this month, we had fuse units, switch fittings and pre-wired sockets. And we had transformer preventative maintenance done as well. Underwater, we did paving for Henlopen Acres. And sewer, I just put our 2 biggest numbers, which is chemicals and Clean Delaware, which accounts for everything except for $1,000 and everything that's happened this month. Line 13, professional and contractual services. We had that added $5,000 for wastewater treatment plant long-term study. Line 14, other supplies and expenses under water. We had a travel expense for work done at the water treatment plant by Velodyne.
Velodyne.
Thanks.
I got your back.
I know. 16 bad debt. We did write off last month for a couple of deceased and people that have moved that we haven't been able to get a hold of. Impact fees. We reversed the elementary school impact fee. So that's actually why it's a negative number, because that reverse was higher than what we took in this month. And for sewer, it's higher than it was last year, but just not as high as what we predicted and how quickly it was coming in. And line 27, we had almost $313,000 and a change of market value loss. Yeah. For you, any questions on the month?
Is there anything that surprises you or?
How much of a reduction that one cooling upgrade that our DRBA did was surprising, but.
So that's a permanent reduction?
So it
Wow.
only pools water when the water level gets low from evaporation. It used to pool water continuously.
Well, that's good for them and bad for us.
I mean, not necessarily. I guess our capacity is better now, right?
Yeah, that's true. We should be glad about it.
I like the silver lining. That was good, Tim. That was-
Yeah.
For fiscal year to date, you can see some of the items for monthly smoothed out. There's not as many highlighted on here. Municipal still on there for, I have to change the street light readings, update the budget. Line 5 is our water, and that is to do with the filters, which I did get a cleaning schedule from Mike from Inframark, so I can update that correctly now. The revenue other under electric, we did special work at Graves Uniform and we sold poles to Nickel Electric. Line 12, for the year so far, we've done $27,500 in preventative maintenance for transformers. And sewer, we've had 134,000 sludge and waste hauling and 189,000 in chemicals just this fiscal year so far, half a year. Line 14, other supplies and expenses. Dues and subscriptions are in there, and the Velodyne.
Velodyne.
travel and the cell monitoring fee. For line 24, again, it's the impact fee reversal for the new elementary school, and we're not climbing as fast as we expected. Our grant revenue was a reversal that I did 2 months ago, that I was putting it towards grant revenue instead of a liability, and change in market value. And just this half a year, we've lost $953,000.
Getting back to Graves, how did that, I mean, I knew it happened. I knew we were out there helping them out. So was that just an emergency thing? We typically don't offer our services for private entities.
It was an emergency when it was freezing outside. It
Yeah,
took,
I remember when it happened, yeah.
yeah, we hooked them up temporarily so that they wouldn't be without power in, single digit, double digit evenings.
So that was just for the emergency work. We didn't go back in and do other work that they needed done.
No, just the emergency.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Austin, line 7 for stormwater, the 2.44%. I assume that doesn't take into any considerations on work that needs to be done in the future as it relates to different requirements that we may have.
Are you talking about on the capital side?
Yeah, stormwater, yeah.
Yeah, right now, I mean, that's really working towards the maintaining side.
Any insights on when we may have higher requirements coming our way?
When MS4 hits us.
Yeah.
And I've heard every year that it was going to hit us, so my money's on black. I think a lot of it had to do with the census, but
The
then
lottery
COVID.
today too, by the way.
Yeah, I did.
That would help.
A lot had to do with the census, because it was all designated by the full-time residents. But it has not been designated. I don't know if COVID played an impact there. Western part of the state has, but eastern part is still kind of coin flip.
All right, moving on to quarterly. For quarter 2. Comparing to last year, our revenues are up almost $217,000, but our expenses are also up at a higher rate of $433,000. Our not operating revenues are down $216,000. Our operating income has decreased almost $217,000, which is the difference between the first two numbers, and total income has decreased almost $433,000, which would be the sum of those numbers.
What's the operating expense is inflation that we're dealing with versus just numbers we just didn't get right?
That's a great question that I don't have the answer.
I
for you right now.
would utilize, like, for example, the chemicals. That is
Yeah.
one where I could have never guessed that number. And you're up, what was that percentage?
They were all over the place. There was one, it was the highest one, I think, was 53%, and the other two, I think, were in the 20s.
And when you're talking nearly $200,000 in it's September, we've spent 189 to date. So, and we asked the question whether or not, do we see it going down? Do we see the fuel surcharge coming off? I don't think.
On the chemical side, how much of it was hypochlorate? Because there was a hypochlorate factory that exploded that is creating a tremendous shortage in the industry. So some of this is not necessarily purely inflationary, but that the chemical plant
Even the
was a
monitoring,
major producer.
the Suez went up from what it was previously. There's nothing that really stayed stagnant across the board.
I don't have my notes from last month, but
It's just, I mean, I think it's all over the place.
and then also with our hauling, we had the fuel surcharge added on there. And it did go up a penny, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you were paying 16 cents and then 17 cents, that's a big percentage. So my variances from the budget was commercial, which at this time I was still investigating, but it was DRBA. Industrial, I still don't have an answer for that, so I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with my budget
Blaming
adjustments.
DRBA, is that what you were doing?
Sorry?
Are you blaming DRBA?
No, I am not blaming them.
I'm just kidding.
No. Municipal, the streetlight reading. BPW is the filters, which I have direction on that. The revenue other, that's hard to predict of how much work is going to be done in a given month for all of these different projects. Repairs and maintenance is the transformer maintenance, the Henlopen Acres paving, and the chemicals and sludge and waste hauling. For water, for line 14, which I didn't put other supplies and expense, is the purchase of the concrete and cement for Second Street when we were doing work there, and the travel expense and cell monitoring fees. Impact fees, as you've heard, grant revenue, as you've heard, and change in market value for this quarter, we lost almost 218,000.
Why was the transformer maintenance up so much?
It was, I will tell you, it was one transformer and we were given the option of waiting a year and paying $70,000 or rebuilding and paying $20,000.
Ooh, ooh. God.
Went with the $20,000.
So you made the right decision. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did a good job. I mean, it looks, the transformer looks brand new,
Is
completely.
this-
And
Is
it's
this
got,
a major transformer someplace?
say that one more time.
Where, is this a major transformer someplace on the system?
I believe this one is actually DRBA's.
Oh, really? Okay, a large one.
They're
All
getting
right.
deep.
Yeah.
But if we actually look at our numbers compared to budgeted, we are doing better than our budget for operating. We're actually almost double of operating revenue. So if we just marinate in that for a second. But then non-operating is where we're seeing the issue, and that we don't budget a change in market value because we can't predict the market. And just the changes and reversals have hit the reports, and after I adjust the budget, it'll be corrected. And I would usually have a budget correction to go over with you, but I was still waiting on a couple answers, and I didn't want to rush it and give a poor quality work. So if you guys are okay with it, I'll have it at the next meeting.
And that change in market value of 1.4 million over the last 4 quarters is I know everybody's in the same boat, but
Not a happy boat.
I'm playing the
So if you
lottery.
can predict market value, we'll change our names to the Board of Finance.
Well, good news, we won't have to change our name.
Like that enthusiasm.
Pay for a new song.
I think that was a cut.
Yeah. We don't have to put that in the budget.
All
we
right.
Sign.
Kim's cut off now. Now, any questions for Kim? All right, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda is AMP Efficiency Program. And we have our guest speaker, Mr. Lynch.
Good afternoon, everyone. Scott Lynch, Asset Development for the Delaware Municipal Electric Corporation. I want to say thank you very much for the time this afternoon to discuss Efficiency Smart. I'm here tonight for 3 reasons. First being that the current 3-year contract that Efficiency Smart is under ends at the end of this month. So we're looking for renewal to renew that program. Second, I want to discuss the success we've had over the last 3 years. And third, to request approval to continue the program in the Lewes Board of Public Works Service territory for a further 3 years. To start off at the beginning, the purpose of this program from the very outset that we have made to and discussed with all of our other members is that this is a power supply program. First and foremost, the cheapest form of electricity is the electricity you don't buy. And when you don't buy the electricity, when it's very expensive, you save even more. Number two, it is a business retention and growth program. You have businesses that you're always looking to bring into your community, but you're always trying to make sure those businesses that have committed to your community stay. You can offer them some assistance by whatever means to increase their bottom line. They are much happier. And three, the state of Delaware has a energy efficiency program that we report to, and they have by statute allowed us to continue our own program the way we see fit. So we report annually to the state about the activities of our program. The deck that you have before you is very in-depth. I provided it to you for especially those that may be new to the board, but I'll go through it. And I'm not going to go through absolutely everything, but I want to make sure that I do hit the high points of it. DMEC, we are your wholesale electric provider. Our purpose has been, since our inception to date, has been to provide you low-cost, reliable electricity power. And we look at that very seriously. And in addition to that is what means can we use to bring that to you? And that's who we are. And that's why we're here. And Efficiency Smart is just one more step in that direction. So exactly what is Efficiency Smart? And I'll read it to you. It's a hands-on service that interacts directly with the municipal electric customers to reduce their energy usage. So in short, we have staff, myself at DMEC, and through Efficiency Smart that meet with your retail customers. We look at their needs on the electric side. What is their usage and how can we help them be successful in reducing that usage? And again, like I said, business retention, business growth. So we use these programs as that tool. A few of the programs on the slides here that we offer is our residential 99-cent light bulb program. So if you take a walk right down to the end of Franklin, you go to the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber building, you'll find that various LED bulbs are in there for folks to walk in and get a 99-cent light bulb. Now, this is not just a cheap light bulb that we're offering. This is a high quality LED light bulb, better than what you could get in other stores. We will only want to make sure that we have, when we say a light bulb is going to last 10 years, we want to make sure we have a product that lasts 10 years. And that's what we offer to folks. In addition to that, on the residential side, we offer them a phone number, a resource that they can reach out to if they're having difficulty understanding their electric bill, what could be going on that impacts their electric bill. We offer them electric bill advice. And if they do take some of that advice and want to take advantage of it for rebates on appliances, we have that as well. Appliances like refrigerators, heat pumps, things of that nature. And for the larger and smaller businesses, we offer first and foremost technical advice, which sometimes we find is the most valuable. How can we help people make a good energy decision? Such as you want to replace an HVAC unit in your building. You don't know which one might be the better option to go with. You get 3 quotes. Which one is the better one? Is the lowest cost always the best one to go with? Sometimes, but sometimes investing a little bit more and getting that energy efficient product will pay out in the long term. And that's what Efficiency Smart can do. We can bring our experience with the program and the engineers we have to help the assistance there. And with those folks, if they do choose to make a decision to make an improvement, an HVAC improvement, a process improvement, a lighting improvement, something like that, we offer incentives for them as well. So the program itself, in short, it's customer focused, it's utility focused. How can we help your customers? And also, how can we help your utility? As I mentioned before, economic retention and development. How can we help those who need it? We went through a period of unprecedented impact economically with COVID. And our program was a bit impacted by it as well, but not nearly to the degree that businesses were. And we reached out to them. And as they started opening their doors again, post-COVID, they are engaging with us as much as they would have wanted to if they possibly could have. One of the testimonials I'll share with you is Cape Henlopen School District is managing a fast-growing student population. If you're not familiar with the statistic, is that the district-wide student population was over 6,000 for the first time. And that is requiring growth in their facilities and to make access for those students. And one of the supervisors of facilities did participate with the program, was very honest. I thought it was important if we put this very honest quote in here. And she said, I was skeptical at first because I didn't know that the process would be that easy. And I can tell you that is often the times why people don't take advantage of programs such as this. They think it's going to be cumbersome. And they said that it wasn't. It was easy. The incentive check was impressive and something they could put towards future projects. And that is the intention of the program. And I'm not just saying this because, hear this, I can say this from personal experience. DMEC, to know our program, participate in our program, we did an HVAC improvement. We used the technical advice at our facility in Smyrna. We participated with and received a incentive in Smyrna for this program. And I tell you, I could not echo this program, this quote any better. It was easy. And we were going to, very happy with the technical advice because it was going to help us be more successful in our training room, saving money there. So where are we? Our program results. Program results, we had an energy savings goal of 658 megawatt hours. We expect by the end of this month that we will achieve 82% of that goal, 538 megawatt hours, 82%. What is different in our program than any other energy efficiency program that is in this state and for the majority of the country is that we offer a guaranteed savings. Of the money that DMEC invests in this, 70% of the energy efficiency goal was guaranteed, or we would receive compensation back. We achieved 82%, largely due to the impact of COVID, not being able to get indoors and not being welcomed because of just all the issues related to COVID. But even with that, we do look at a contract savings for over the life of the equipment installed, over 7,000 megawatt hours, almost 4,000 metric tons of CO2 saved, and a wholesale that is on the DMEC side of things of $405,000. So looking at the program cost, again, this is a power supply deal. This is like if we were going to the market and buying power supply, we look for the lowest possible cost. The investment here, $236,000, we look at it's going to give us almost double our money back. So with that, we included with this program a dashboard from the most recent dashboard that we had available to you. So you got a chance to see some statistics of what markets we were able to get to. And again, this was only through 9/30. This wasn't accounting this month, which is not over with. But we can say that we had 249 completed residential transactions and 13 completed C&I transactions. Just to give you a frame of reference, how long it takes to build up these programs, we had 7 of those transactions, commercial transactions were available to us in April. We got the remaining almost half, 6 more completed just since April of this year. So it does take a while to work with customers, work with businesses, gain trust, gain the technical knowledge to get things. But when it gets going pretty quick. So with that, just to let you know, we had currently the 13 projects that was with 12 different companies commercially. 10 additional companies that were participating in our program were excited to do it, but they did not choose to participate for a variety of reasons. And on the horizon right now, we have built the interest of 14 new companies who want to participate with the program in the next 3 years. So this is not all the companies that we've spoken to by Efficiency Smart spoken to, but just the ones that have been engaging with us about potential projects. Another slide here with the residential measures that folks have participated in. You can see a variety of the measures that we do offer and where the greatest interest is. And to cap it off with the new program option, the new program for the next 3 years. Many of the numbers here are substantially similar to the previous program. The wholesale avoided cost being let me check here. It is a bit higher than we had before, but one of the things I want to talk about with that is that with these, yes, it is higher. It is higher due to what we see as higher energy costs So as higher energy costs come in, saving those costs provide higher savings. One thing about these numbers are they are very conservative numbers. We don't go reaching for the highest savings we think could possibly be gained. We go after what we think is attainable. One of the things that's not included in this, as you may be aware of, is the Indian River Power Plant, maintaining that open. That increased cost, as you probably heard from DMEC, is an increase that, we don't know how long that cost is going to be here, but we did not include that in this number. Why? Because it's too big of an unknown. What it means is this avoided wholesale cost is only going to look better by being able to avoid additional transmission and capacity costs. So with this, as I mentioned before, this is a power supply deal. We have investigated these numbers. We've evaluated them. I have done these calculations myself professionally outside of DMEC, so I understand the work that goes into doing this. We have a third-party provider who looks into independent efficiency smart that verifies these numbers for us and conservatively verifies them. We additionally, beyond that, submit projects that we have completed to PJM for an additional incentive that we provide to businesses with it. And that's another layer of evaluation that the numbers are correct. So in my opinion, you can stand by and look at these numbers and go, they're solid, if nothing else, conservative. So with that, what we're asking for here is that you are in charge of your retail customers, and we're asking for your approval to continue the program in the Lewes Board Public Works service territory as a savings tool for you and continue this program for 3 more years. So that's what we're asking for. I'll take any questions.
Scott, it's Presley.
Yes, sir.
I have to say that this program over the last 3 years or so has been a phantom program as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I know of no one in town that's ever mentioned it to me. We've never, I don't think, discussed it as a board. I mean, I can't remember. Maybe we have over the 3 years. And I guess how do we know, first of all, who these people are and where these numbers are coming from? There's no information on who they are. When I see, that in the summary of all the sectors installed efficiency measures, there's 1,600 listed, and large businesses is 330, small businesses is 470. That's about 800 businesses. I don't know one business that's mentioned that type of thing. Could these be each a light bulb, or are they a major
It's big transactions residentially. It's typically someone comes in and buys a light bulb this week. They come in the next week to buy another light bulb. That's a separate transaction. On the commercial,
I see at the other table where you list some of the things that are done. 847 quantity of measurements for these advanced thermostats, dehumidifiers, but most of it, the major part of it, is 769 light bulbs. These numbers sound great, but again, I haven't seen any. You're asking for $250,000. I mean, how are we sure that these are people that are our ratepayers that are getting this? I mean, I bought a refrigerator a year and a half ago or so by Henlock Appliance right outside of town. No one even brought this up and mentioned it, and so how is word getting out? And and we have no way of checking your numbers. As far as I can tell.
So the programs so related to these, number of these are in an online service program, so that if someone wants to go online, they put in their address information, and then they are approved or not approved to get participation to get a discounted item. So
their address probably says Lewes, even if they live in Long Neck. Do you verify that they're in the city of Lewes and are ratepayers of the BPW?
at the locations. Well, that's why one of the locations that we do this is right downtown. It's limiting the number of people that could be outside the service territory that are participating with the program. It's why we chose not to do Lowe's, Home Depot, the modern investor-owned utility approach where everyone goes around and goes into a Lowe's or Home Depot and gets a product. We put these things purposefully downtown, if for nothing else, they're only the people in the community would really know to go to the chamber to get this. And
What businesses downtown have you, are on this list that? I mean, I know the chamber has those things, but who else?
We do share monthly, the folks that we are talking to. I cannot share the people publicly who we have because there's non-disclosure agreements.
How about the businesses? You know, can you tell us who you approached and who's participating?
Okay, I can tell you who has been approached. I can't tell you who's been participating. As far as the businesses, the Lewes Yacht Club has been approached. There was I'm just going on the last, there was many of the restaurants down 2nd Street. In addition to that, BB Hospital's been approached, Cape Ann Open School District's been approached. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare a list.
No, but
UD's been approached with them, yes.
I know you can't say who is on the program.
Yes.
But in Lewes, how many businesses are in the program?
In the program, we completed activities with 13.
Okay.
13.
Is it fair to say we're gonna pay for this or not? I mean, we're gonna pay for this whether we do it or not, right?
Well,
Membership?
here's the understand how you're going to pay for it. What you're going to pay for is megawatt hours in your wholesale bill. Now, where you get them from is what is being asked for. So we could go to the market and procure the megawatt hours we're talking here for the next 3 years. And that's part of our business plan is to go procure that. We're looking at the total load of all of our communities. With the prices that are in the market right now, I couldn't get you this amount of megawatt hours for the cost that's here. I can get you this amount of megawatt hours for the cost of this program. So it's more, do you want to buy high or buy low? And our recommendation is to buy low.
But I don't get the feeling that anybody, I mean, I don't want to be too strong about this, but how many of these, say this list of equipment that was Energy Star facilities or refrigerator early retirement is directly related to your efforts and not things that were going to occur anyway. And what I've never heard anybody in the community say, thank you, BPW, for your efforts to reduce our power usage. I don't see anything out there. No, but none of the shops other than the Chamber of Commerce has any literature. We've never talked about it amongst ourselves because it's not very obvious in the community. And so what credit are we getting for spending $250,000 of our ratepayers' money, not knowing if it's your efforts that's producing this or most of this would have occurred anyway?
So it says here, included with your membership.
Yes.
That's the $237,000.
Yes.
We're gonna pay for that, whether we're in this program or not. Is that a correct
wholesale rate.
statement?
It's in the wholesale rate because that money is either going to be used to go pay for what we would procure from the market or what we can use in this program. Now, my point is where the way market prices are right now for energy, I don't know that I can get the amount of megawatt hours we're talking about right here for that amount of money.
Which would be to our advantage.
It would be to your advantage to do this program because it is a lower cost. It is in the cost here is in the $27.69 range for a megawatt hour. That is
mathematically, there's no reason not.
Mathematically, there's absolutely no reason not to do this. You couldn't install a solar project right now for this cost. You couldn't do it. I got pricing yesterday. it's less than half of that.
Is there a
And-
way to look at, and obviously we could get involved in this process and talk it up ourselves, right? There's things we could probably do to help you.
DMEC, yeah, absolutely. DMEC has absolutely no qualms at all with whatever marketing help you could be. We would encourage board members themselves to purchase a light bulb, try it out, give your own honest experience with it. I mean, that's something that's telling so much more.
And the only challenge I have with that, and this is just me personally, I would rather see things be need-based than giving somebody a light bulb that candidly doesn't need a light bulb, if that makes sense. Is there a way to do that in any way? Make it more needs?
We do have with our program, multiple times a year, we've had our folks go to low to moderate income programs to try to assist those folks with, sometimes they just give them the light bulb to try to help them out.
Yeah.
The majority of this program is not built on just giving stuff away or just is based off the light bulbs. We're trying to have active impacts on the capacity costs, transmission costs, which are just skyrocketing now, which impact the wholesale rate. So our goal is to attack those measures. And we want to also not leave the residential market out.
So early on, going back years now, when there was incentive to go to compact fluorescent, it was based upon moving from incandescent. And then there was a program for LEDs. But once you get 100% LED saturation or close to it, then all you're doing is subsidizing people replacing light, and you're not getting the virtual power plant portion of it.
An excellent point. And it's one of the reasons why the state of Delaware still even gives credit to LED replacement. You have states like Maine, Wisconsin, that have been doing this for years. They have developed a market for these energy efficiency products that is still in its, I would say, beyond infancy, but way not to adolescence yet in the state of Delaware. So that's why the state in and of itself still says there's a market out there that still needs these products. And the way we designed this program and from the beginning was when we spoke to Efficiency Smart, we said, look, as the market shifts, you must shift with it. And they are perfectly understanding that they need to eventually not do LED light bulb giveaways, not even offer them at 99 cents. But this is just, I would expect for the next 3 years, they would continue doing that. And then at some point start weaning ourselves to the next thing. Just like we look with these energy efficient products, we keep upping the standard for what needs incentive. It's not the regular market, which everyone would buy right now. We look to what is the next step up that actually requires incentive.
Just to add to it. So we've done it, like Carolyn will reach out to us. Carolyn works for Efficiency Smart. We do bill print messages. We have handouts at the front desk. On the C&I, really, they kind of take the initiative. And then they kind of come to us if they can't, get a contact, whoever it may be. I mean, they're working with the city, I think, on efficiency right now. I believe they're talking with several other ones that are, it's kind of like they take the initiative, and if they need me to help get their foot in the door, I assist with an email, like I assisted with trying to get them into Cape Henlopen State or the Cape School District.
And I know that it's not flushed out now, but, part of the IRA has got a whole section on virtual power plants. The avoided cost. I've not seen any details on how that's going to work. Have you seen anything that would tie this program into funding from the IRA?
Tom, I asked that very question yesterday. And to the point that you had brought up before about grid resiliency, we are working with American Municipal Power to discuss things of that nature. Resiliency, does that include things like energy efficiency? Does that include things like AMI? Does that include transformer replacements? We're looking at that and we're working with AMP right now to see, they have received some early feedback that there could be programs out there that could take programs like AMI and offer huge incentives to bring down the cost 25, 50%. And since there would be a bulk carrier like AMP that's delivering a program that's more ideal to DOE than just a one-off grant from one municipality or another. So to your point, we are looking at that right now. I asked the very question yesterday on grid resiliency, efficiency, and on renewables.
Yeah, and I asked the same question on Monday at the DENREC meeting on EVs about, support for transmission upgrades. So, and the answer was, we don't know.
There's so much money, there's so much care that's going into trying to make sure that the rules are written in a way that not only the industry needs, but that it's done in a responsible way. And we're still waiting for some of those things.
Okay.
So back to the program cost. Sorry, the 236,916. Is that numbers that would come out from you guys as it relates to our membership? Because I see at the bottom it says based on 2018 data reported by DSMHP.
Yeah, that's the current program that you're in, not the new program.
This is
coming
the
up.
new
So
program.
a couple pages down, you would see it's based off of the calculated amount is based off of the percentage that we think is appropriate for coming in with the program at 0.25% a year. So after 3 years, it's 0.75%. We think that is a good, stable, reliable way that we can approach energy efficiency. Right now, we have encouraged our members, if they'd like to do more, they can. City of Newark has looked at doing more. Milford has taken the step to do more. But we think as a base introductory level that we can advise to everyone that they would do this. And it's based off of the new program, it's based off of data from 2021.
How does your program interrelate with the state's program? I mean, I'm a board member on an organization here in town that has dealt with the state about energy efficiency issues and solar and so forth, and redoing their HVAC systems and so forth. How do you relate with them, and why does I'll ask the question, does this overlap with them?
It does not overlap with them. Our relationship with them is we have board direction, DMEC board direction to work with all state programs, to work with the energy efficiency program, to work with the sustainable energy utility, to work with them, for them to feed us people who have interest and for us to feed them. There is not right now crossover that we're concerned with. We have, I'll give you an example. DMEC went and the HVAC project that we did, we applied both for state money and we applied through Efficiency Smart. And the state said, we'll give you $500. And Efficiency Smart looked at that and said, $500, that's pretty good. We're only going to contribute another $100 because we think $600 is appropriate for that investment. So they were cognizant of what they're investing. They're cognizant of how they're using the money, and they're not going to add and double up and gild a project or an incentive. So it was very eye-opening to see what the state's going to do, and when they work with us, how well we work with them. And so as far as what the other state the state programs they have, Energy Efficiency Investment Fund, Sustainable Energy Utility. Those are state programs. That's the nonprofit in the state is the SCU. They don't have any load. Their objective is to come and help everybody in the state, regardless of if you give them any money or not. The SCU is supposed to be down here in Lewes just as much as it's supposed to be in Newark. It is supposed to be helping you, and you don't have to invest a dime in them to get that facilitation. So with our program, but on the opposite side of that, they provide you no guarantees. With us, we are going to knock on doors. We are going to talk to people.
I assume we could also give you a list of people that we know are behind, so to speak, on payments, and that would actually help them in the long run.
Please do. And I can't tell you enough, the effort that Austin has put into helping us get in touch with folks. I mean, while we are an extension of you, we are owned by you. DMEC is owned by you. We are still sometimes seen as someone else trying to sell you something. So when Austin makes that call and says, hey, you got to listen to these people, it's the next step, they can help you out. It's been fantastic. If the board, if the mayor, if whoever in the city can bring just that extra level of support to get us in there, maybe we become a little bit more known. Because we're out there doing everything we can. And we still are successful even when we haven't had trying to do it on our own.
So Austin, I mean, what's the staff's recommendation at this point?
The program has been successful in the past. As we kind of alluded to, it's in the wholesale rate that we are one of 8 members that are taking advantage of this. And so my recommendation, and Kim can chime in too, is to continue the program, as it stands today.
I would
It's-
support that as well.
It sounds like we do need to.
And mind you that in the previous, so just to add a little bit of context to this and trying to promote the program, is that how long has Facebook existed since you've been here?
Yeah, a little bit over a year.
Yeah.
Year and a half.
And so we're starting to gain our presence on social media and trying to kind of funnel this information down. And on our bill print messages, we're also, we're kind of competing because we also have our own messages that we want to come across with them providing theirs. So there's still some things that need to work out, but we're starting. And I think as energy costs start to rise, this program becomes more and more prevalent.
Does that 229 go down if the more municipalities participate, or is it just a function of the amount of power you're using?
It's function of the amount of power you're using. It's just a dollar amount based off of the a unit cost based off of what your 2021 wholesale usage was.
And it's incorporated. So every member of DMEC municipality, Milford, Middletown, Smyrna, they're all involved in this.
I do think Press is right, though. We can figure out ways to make sure that this is coming, the way it coming, into the people that need it. And that we have some awareness, and maybe we can obviously help in some of those ways as well with presence. And
I will say, we did get a lot of comments that we didn't have tips or tools for energy efficiency on the website. And we've already added that to the website. So you can now go directly to Efficiency Smart and find those flyers.
One thing that we do also encourage is there's a newsletter that goes out that is both on residential and commercial. Anyone in the world could sign up for it to find out what's going on in your community. It's a great tool to use. And we also would appreciate any feedback you could provide to us and say, hey, can you target here? Can you work here? Can you do this? It only helps us be more successful with your engagement and your involvement. So we welcome it, please.
if you could give us AMI at 70% off, we appreciate it.
I'm doing my absolute best.
Scott, I got a question about your title. So you mentioned sales, and what it seems more like what you're doing is business development. And it says, but your title is asset development.
Mhm.
What is the asset? DMAC? I mean,
So the asset for us is the program. The program is the asset. We use it just as if we would put a power plant in some place that would actually spin a turbine and create electricity. This is the opposite of that. So we are trying not to do that. So the asset is the program. The other assets that I do manage is the development of our solar projects, our AMI program, our demand response program, renewables program. So substation development, if it's in the electric utility, I touch it.
Okay, I guess we need a motion to proceed with the program. Anyone like to make a motion?
Do we need to discuss it more? Or, I mean, not, well, to get it started, I'll motion to.
Well, I'd like to have a little more discussion.
Hold on, Press. You can have, there's a motion, there's gonna be a
Yeah.
second, and then you can have discussion.
I didn't want him to go ahead and vote on it. Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. So now you can have discussion.
On the
Yeah,
question?
what I'd like to get, Scott, is a commitment from DMAC that you make stronger effort to assure us that the work that you're taking credit for is developed because of your efforts and not, wouldn't have happened for the most part on their own. And make it more visible to your clients, that it is for the BPW, and provide with Austin and the staff with continuing information about this, so that it is something we think about as a board and as an organization, and the public knows that, because right now I don't see any indication that they understand what you're doing from the public or any of the businesses that I've been to in town. And like I say, that when I did get rid of a refrigerator or bought a new one, this was never discussed. The Hennepin Appliance didn't know anything about this. It doesn't seem like it's out there because there's very little. It's not very prominent right now. So we need that commitment that you'll try to improve that.
Understood. And absolutely, we have a staff member who is in town. Carolyn works with our office. Anytime you have events, you mentioned the farmer's market, we will be there. We'll make sure that they're there promoting the program. We have been at Coast Day promoting it. We've done whatever we think we get out there. We are seeking your advice and your help. If you can tell us, go here, go there. That's the flexibility that we wanted in a program. So, Mr. Lee, happy to do that and to make sure that where you want us to be, to the best of our ability and to the best that we can have staff's assistance in getting there, we will do so.
And we've done a lot from like a social media perspective. We updated the website because the website was about as least as you could be desired. So we're striving to have that. I mean, we're getting 700, 800 different responses on customer surveys. That's pretty good.
Do we have anything we can hand out on Saturday at the hazardous?
Our lobby is full of material, full, and we have boxes in the back. So take it all.
And that's why we put it, because we knew you had an online presence that a presence that does come into the lobby. So we wanted to be there.
Sharon just volunteered herself for this week.
Sitting here.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm reading it, the reason I made the motion is because what I'm thinking about it is it helps us in our overall wholesale costs. Is that what we're talking about?
That's the purpose.
I mean, we're putting in 229,000 and if this is correct, we're getting back 443. Now that's not coming directly just for us personally, but well, maybe this is the way it comes out mathematically, but if it's because all of the people are putting, we're all putting in money to reduce the costs, the wholesale cost.
Correct. And this,
so this is what it's saying. This is for the total program is going to give us back this kind of return.
correct. And you also, and this is just to the level of the benefit from just working in your community.
Right.
You also reap the benefit of what happens in the other 7. So by your ability to reduce this amount of kilowatt hours, to reduce capacity just here, that adds and to the stack of Newark, of Middletown, their ability to reduce it, you benefit as well.
I'm happy to get people to buy any kind of light bulbs and all the rest of it, but I'm also more interested in what this number here that we're reducing our wholesale costs.
And this is a conservative number.
Mhm.
I cannot emphasize that enough. We didn't shoot for the moon for it. It's a conservative number. We didn't include the impact of Indian River in it. This number only looks better.
Yeah, okay. That was just thank you for,
Can
I
we
got it.
expect to have you come back or one of your surrogates come back and give us an update from time to time?
Absolutely. Monthly, we provide the report that you do have before you is a dashboard that we provide to Austin monthly. So it is for you to see monthly the progress that's going on. We provide at board meetings a written memo of every community and who's been touched in that community so far. And that could be the course of phone calls, in-person meetings. So we do regularly provide that. If you would like me to appear and Carolyn to appear and whoever, happy to do it.
Just don't send us to the city. Their costs are already low enough.
We're good negotiators.
All right, we have a motion and a
A
second.
motion and a second.
Any other questions? So vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And those opposed? Okay, carries 5-0, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
your time.
That's great.
You're mine. Kool-Aid.
I'm still here. We can do it.
Big lower cost.
Power.
Okay, next item, open forum general discussion on 1302, 1305 Savannah Road for a waiver.
So I just give a little background. So this is the Savannah, what we deem as the Savannah 16 or the Viking Way Water and Sewer Project. We put a force main in the back and we took advantage of the Del Dot contract with sidewalks to put the curb stops in the front of the properties. So in this circumstance, I think Robin most recently dealt with this property owner, but the request is that, and this is we have a policy that kind of codifies this, but the request is to only hook into the sewer service and not the water service. And, we presented this project as a water and sewer project from the beginning. That's why we invested in it. It was a very sensitive area near our well field. So that was the utmost kind of thought process behind moving forward with this. So with that, I think we're here to answer any questions, but this comes down to more of a policy discussion. I will tell you that if you grant the waiver, we will have to come up with a new rate similar to what Oyster Cove was, because we bill off of, and the reason behind the policy is because we bill off of water consumption. So if we're not providing water service, we're going to have to come up with an outside city commercial sewer only charge.
So I'd like to clarify the situation, just so I can make sure I know what is accurate. My understanding is when we took a look at providing services out to the, is it 8 homes there?
16,
6 homes.
16.
Yeah, whatever. And that it was to provide all the services,
Water and sewer.
and electric's already there.
Correct.
So we're talking water and sewer, and we built the infrastructure out there, and we said we're doing this per lot. And we also, in the past, we had situations like this where we said you must have water and sewer. And we have a policy that says you must have water and sewer because we've already invested in the infrastructure that's already there. It's almost like it being annexed, where if you're annexed, then you have to take all of our services. And we're kind of extended ourselves out there and provided these services. And the point was you coming and we're going to give you all our services, so you have to take them. And so that's my understanding. Is that correct?
It was a very environmentally driven discussion, our decision, because it is so close to our well field. And we knew of a couple issues just from past residential home sales where they had reached out to us and saw if there was infrastructure in place because of a failing septic, or whatever it may be. And so we probably looked at this, I don't know how many times. Originally, it was supposed to be gravity sewer out the front. The cost was absolutely insanity because there's a duct bank, a 16-inch water main. So I think originally we were talking upwards of $50,000 just for sewer, gravity out the front. And so we kind of went back to the drawing board and kind of reversed engineered this. And theoretically, all the septic systems are in the back of the property. So we went and got a easement from the Cape Henlopen High School and also the 5 properties closest to Atlantic Drive. So we could put a low pressure force main in. And then on the front, Del Dot was actually doing their project. And so we took advantage of their project and did the taps on the 16-inch water main so we could provide water service.
Yeah, and agree with Tom 100%. And then the addition is what Austin had said earlier, which is that it creates an administrative burden to the staff And it would create the need to create new sets of rates. And so we would be opening the door for many more of these down the line.
So Warren Buffett said you don't break up the pack of gum, you sell them the whole pack of.
Yeah. Well, our infrastructure is there. We put it out there just for that purpose. And so my opinion is we have to have water and sewer, period, for everything.
Charlie O'Donnell.
That was also well understood by everybody going in. It wasn't like a surprise or a buffet where you can pick and choose what you want to do. This is what we're going to do, and that's the deal.
Yeah, and there's two other properties, how I understand it, two other properties that are looking to connect. They're connecting to both water and sewer as planned.
Correct.
It's Charlie O'Donnell, board engineer. Just a question. Has the homeowner or commercial business owner said that if they don't get this waiver, they don't want the sewer?
Robin?
No, that was never discussed.
Okay.
The contract that came from Caswell was only for sewer only.
Gotcha.
That's where all this conversation started. And there was nothing discussed about, well, if you don't take, if the board.
Yeah.
The statement that was made is that the board did not come out and say that you had to connect to both services, but at the same time, I will caveat and say, if it's a water and sewer project, it is deemed, and if we bill off of water consumption, it is deemed that it's a water and sewer project. I can't read somebody's mind and say that they only want one service or another service. So every correspondence, water and sewer, every email that was sent, water and sewer, the request of city council to allow us to serve, water and sewer.
Yeah, so I think it's an important decision to make, because I know when we did Savannah Place Sewer a few years ago, we gave them, I think it was a year to tie in, but that was it, 1 year. And, in this case, I don't know if there's a time frame or not, but yeah, now we're having people kind of like somebody said about their buffet if they're trying to pick and choose. So I think it's important.
And I think the difference between this one is where Savannah Place, you were dealing with like an entity at that point in time.
Yeah.
You were dealing with one community. This one, we saw, the ability to team up with Del Dot, because it would have been a nightmare trying to do that. And so we worked individually to kind of work through this project. And just like you said, we tried to make it as economical as possible, because at the end of the day, when you go to someone and you say it's going to cost you $55,000 to connect in the sewer, there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to swallow that pill.
Yeah, I mean, I think the board should be aware of that. A lot of work went in to make this affordable for those 16 residents, because whatever infrastructure you put out there, it's spread over only 16 units. That was why it was so high. Whereas like even Savannah Place was nearly 50 units, and Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park is 130. So, I mean, it's just, there's so few, it's so, not dense that it was spread, a lot of costs spread over few users.
And the credit goes also to the entire, length of homes there, because we had to work with some to get an easement in the backyard to make the project work. So.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
And those are capital improvements which increase the value of the properties.
So Mike, we need a motion to,
So what you have in front of the board right now is a request for a waiver from the requirement that both services be provided. And so the question for the board is a motion to grant the request or a motion to deny the request. Thank you.
so does anyone that want to make a motion?
I make a motion to deny the request.
Second.
Second.
Press already seconded.
Okay, fine.
On the question? All those in favor of denying the waiver? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. So Austin, you'll let the homeowner or the owner know?
Robin or I'll let them know.
Sorry. All right. AC Schulte on the well.
Okay, so Press and Richard, I actually forwarded you an email because you're not in person. I got this first thing this morning. So this is just a copy of the proposal. Mike, I'll hand you a copy just to. So what's before you is this is essentially relining of well number 1. So well number 1, 3 is actually 3 is down right now.
Today.
You should have a copy of there. There's.
Okay.
So we've had this discussion, so, well, 3, we're kind of in the middle of trying to figure out what we're gonna do as far as, the future of it, but well, number 1, we've kind of gone back and forth whether we were gonna drill a new well or we were gonna reline the well. I've talked to AC Schultes. We've had multiple conversations with AC Schultes and with GMB on future plans for the well field as far as any sort of improvements. So with that, well 1 is down, it's starting to show some sand, which is seizing up the motor. So one of the cost-effective way to remediate it is to actually line the well. So you have a 12-inch casing existing now. You can go to a 6-inch case or an 8-inch casing, still have the packing in there, still have the screen in there. Essentially, you lose a little bit of capacity in your well production, but at the same time, it's like having a new well. And DENREC allows you to do so. So that's what's before you today for well number 1. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think we've kind of.
I guess just to step back this way, it's on record. So we had 2 well failures in the last year. Well 3 went down because of perforations, and then well 1 went down.
Well, 1 was acting up. We actually were running that on hand for a while.
And then we
Took it
brought
off
1
in the off.
back up. So out of 5 wells, we've had 2 well failures in the last calendar year. So we're trying to get ourselves in a position before next summer to make sure that we have redundancy. And the other issue, concern is that all 5 wells, well, 3 wells were drilled exactly at the same time, 1, 2, and 3. Well, 4 and 5 are only about 5 years younger.
7 years.
7 years younger. So the well field is aging, and we need to put a plan in place to ensure that we have adequate water supply going forward. So just as background for the record.
And I think just to add context so that everybody can understand numbers, those 5 wells can outproduce what that plant could actually treat, hands down. And Charlie, if you want to speak to that or not, I mean, you can just look at the GPM calculations on that. So really, we're on kind of a redundancy discussion now. And with well 1, I had the opportunity to look at quotes for actually re-drilling. And we were looking at 3 at that point in time. Re-drilling is about 100 to 120,000, depending on what size. If you go to a 12 or if you go to a 16-inch casing. So 4 and 5 are 16-inch casings, 1, 2, and 3 are 12-inch casings.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we were on. So, so the request here is for recasing well 1.
Yes.
So I'm seeing 2 numbers here. What, tell me what's
One is an option. So the casing of the well is 39,290. Option 2, or the option that you can do, is actually to do a stainless steel casing over a standard steel casing.
So what do you think?
So the regular steel, I think stainless steel is going to take a lot longer to get. So right now, the way it looks is we're probably looking at about an 8-week lead time on materials. We talked about having an install right around the January, February timeframe, which production drops off significantly in the off season. We're starting to see that now, especially when the irrigation starts to drop off. My recommendation would just to do the standard steel.
Do the stainless steel.
No,
the standard steel. I'm sorry. You said standard
To
steel.
back that up, these wells are 55 years old with carbon steel casings.
And the screens will be stainless steel.
Yeah, as the current ones are. So putting a well in for 55 years
It's okay.
is
I won't-
is not,
It's all right.
you know, if we were in an area where the aquifer was more acidic and you had concerns over carbon steel, it might be worthwhile investigating, but we're not in that condition, so.
After 55 years, somebody else will worry about what it tastes like, so I'm not.
I'll worry about if the aquifer's there in 55 years.
How deep is that one well?
101.5 feet.
Exactly.
Yes, I have the calculations. And so, and just to kind of talking about numbers, so right now that well is design capacity is 600 GPM. After, obviously, we're gonna have it tested after it's done with an 8-inch casing. Obviously, going down in size reduces, your throughput. They're expecting right around the 400 to 500 GPM. I don't think when you're talking 1,000 GPM on 5, really it's 1,200 on 5 and 1,000 on 4 and 750. And as you go down, I don't think we're really going to notice it too much because you're still having like the pressure loss that we'd be dealing with on the common header, which is just simply when the pumps kick on, you're fighting on a common header, you're fighting pressure. So.
Charlie, anything you want to add?
I wasn't Charlie O'Donnell, BPW engineer. I was gonna just say that even though you're losing some capacity in well number 1, the fact that you have 5 wells and you have bigger ones that are running 1,000 gallons per minute, 2 of them, it's really not, you're losing 25% capacity if you say the new cased well is 450 gallons per minute, but it's not like you're losing 25% across the whole system, which I think is the point you were trying to make. I agree that I don't think you need the stainless steel. The way these wells work is that the board's been on a schedule of getting the wells intermittently cleaned by AC Schultes mostly. So that's going to continue to occur over the next 55 years and keep it in service until something happens and we need to address it again. So I don't know that it's a worthwhile investment to go with stainless steel. The only other thing we would add, I think, is that the treatment plant has a peak hourly capacity of over 4,000 gallons per minute, which there's not enough supply with or without the new casing to meet that.
But on a daily.
The last thing I'd say is, Tom, you're correct. It's just part of a greater overall plan to look at the capacity, look at demand, and probably try to up our supply over time.
Yeah, we talked about putting some upgrades to the common header, replacing it with a larger size PVC over the existing ductile.
We actually do have a plan in place that we haven't brought to the board yet, I don't think, but because we're fine tuning it, we haven't quite gotten it worked out. So. And also remember that with the new tower, you're going to have a lot more water up in the air that's going to add to your available supply in the case of an emergency of any sort.
Charlie, that planning, did that include the header that you're working on?
Yeah, definitely, Press, because we got the header is that all 5 wells, 4 of them go into one side and then well number 1 comes in the other side of the wastewater treatment plant. There's a section of that header that's much older and it's smaller, 10-inch versus the rest of it's 12. We're at least looking at replacing that, if not the whole thing. That's part of our plan to investigate and try to address it over the next couple of years, I think. If not sooner.
That sounds like it's a pretty old pipe to start with, right? It's
yeah.
It goes back 50 plus years, I guess.
Yeah, 1945 was the plan that
yeah.
Yeah.
It's as old as I am.
Put in?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to, well, I guess. So it sounds like the suggestion from staff is not to do the stainless steel, to recase. So do we have a motion on?
So moved.
Second.
Whoever got first, doesn't matter.
On the question? All those in favor?
But we're to take the The 39,290, not the additional.
Right,
Correct.
correct.
Okay. Just making sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it passes 5-0 for next item, Donovan Smith Mobile Home Park.
So this item is to establish a date where we will have a special meeting, and it may not just be limited to Donovan Smith, but we used it as basically being one of the bases behind having the meeting, which is to approve the award or awarding the contract. So we're looking for November the 9th.
Yeah.
And Sharon's done a fantastic job. We already have the room reserved, so I really hope that you can all do the 9th.
At 2:00.
2:00. We booked it for longer than that, but we're open at 2:00.
Do you need counsel?
Mike. No, we should be good.
We're in trouble now.
November 9th.
And where will that be held?
Here.
Okay.
Any objections to November 9th at 2 p.m.?
And then subsequent to that, we will hold a meeting, a public meeting, or a meeting with Donovan Smith, right?
Yeah, so then we will, once we have that all determined, we're going to be sending out a notice via email and by letter for a public meeting in which we're going to invite everybody, the city, the board, GMB, the RPR, the contractor, to have one meeting to kind of go over the scope of the project, the timing of the project, the various impacts, what's going to be doing to mitigate as much as we can, which we find to be successful when we start out the project. So, and it's a very tight area, but we're hopeful that we're going to get some successful bids. I think we have, a decent five or so interested. So.
And that public meeting, we're looking at a venue, whether to do it at the Rollins Center, the library.
The Rollins Center.
We have the Rollins Center.
At the Rollins Center?
Yeah.
Okay. And we are providing a translator.
Yes.
So then that next meeting, the public meeting would be what, did you say what?
No, the
You don't know
meeting-
yet.
The 9th is our meeting to award
Right,
the contract.
I understand.
And then the meeting on the 17th will be at 6 p.m.
17th, okay.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
You need counsel.
Just give it to that one. You're a busy man, right?
It's a busy about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. good.
Open forum, general discussion, setting November, December regular meeting.
So we normally do a November, December meeting, joint meeting just because of the holidays. So just thinking the 7th or the 14th as far as their Wednesdays, open anyway. We'll probably need counsel for that one.
So I thought Sharon had gone around that the 7th was okay? Or had we not polled the rest of the board yet?
We have not polled anybody. I think you may have maybe mitigation that you're thinking about. We haven't polled anybody on.
Yeah, not for this one.
Oh.
We have a lot going on.
I've got it on my calendar.
So either the 7th or 14th. Mike, does one work better than the other?
Council's available on both.
Either one is okay with me.
We're actually going to be having a meeting about, it doesn't conflict, except that you need some of our people there. Our short-term rental, or I guess all of our rental licensing. We're planning a meeting with license holders for the 14th.
Of December. So the 7th, do I have anybody on the 7th?
December 7th.
Yeah.
That's Pearl Harbor.
Oh, December 7th.
Kim's the optimist here today.
Negative and positive. I can do any, I'm just throwing Wednesdays
I can
out
do the
there.
7th.
7th is fine with me.
Is that for to replace the 9th?
The second.
meeting that we would have had the day before Thanksgiving. Or
Oh, now this is the board meeting
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking
the
about.
joint board
Okay, okay, I got it now. Okay.
No objections to the 7th. So,
And we won't have another board meeting until the end of January.
yes.
She says.
And what month are we talking about?
December.
December
December
7th. Yeah, that's what I thought. I
Normal,
just wanted to
4
make
p.m.
sure.
I'll send out an email with all the dates.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, old business, AT&T pole attachment.
All right, what you had in your packet is a revised draft pole attachment agreement for AT&T and the board. This was up at the last meeting. What this is AT&T is requesting to put wireless facilities on 2 of the BPW poles. And there is some blank areas in the draft agreement. It was sent to AT&T. They came back with some of their requests. Moreover of dates and timing of when they want things done and
Any
after.
pushback on the fees?
Not yet. That's the thing. This is only for the board that they've not seen the fees yet.
Okay.
Wanted to get the recommendation of the members so we can send this back to them. I made some my recommendations off of the little bit of discussion we had at the last meeting. Most of these recommendations are with current when they talk about invoice payments and things like that. They want to extend out 90 days, 120. Our standard is usually 30 days. Don't see why we should give them any different than anybody else. The interest rates at 1.5 a month or 18% every year is consistent with what we've been doing. Just try to make this to follow what we've had in the past. As far as the fees, a lot of the fees, again, we did discuss this a little bit. As far as some of the stuff, the pole transfer fee and the storm restoration fee was talked about, cost plus 20%. I think the biggest thing is the yearly attachment fee. That was to talk about what the FCC and what other municipalities in the area have been doing at $270 a year per attachment per pole. I can go over this more in detail if you'd like, or if anybody
There's
has a
nothing
question.
in this as it relates to the water tower, right?
No, the water tower is separate.
Are
Yep.
they gonna take things down from the water tower once they have this, do you know?
Don't know that. I didn't hear that in any conversations that I've had with them. So but I do not know for sure. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think this is just to enhance.
Until we put the new tower up. Then-
Because again, as I said at the last meeting, they're requesting that we remove 2 of the poles and put new poles up that are higher. Yeah.
If they wanted to go 120, we could go 2.5% interest. That's not that uncommon. Just something to think about.
The only question I had was just on the fee table, the cost plus 20. We have numbers that are in different agreements for different amounts.
Right.
Should we look at consolidating all of our fees our cost plus fees with a common number for admin? Are we at any risk?
Didn't we discuss that last meeting?
So I'll answer this in a couple ways. First, I'll say based on, we reviewed staff's recommendation and that all checks out in terms of what is being recommended. We don't have a concern from a legal standpoint based on what's recommended. Second part, in terms of whether you want to have a uniform rate that you charge among your agreements, that's a question for the board. I think this is the first agreement under the new form. So this is the opportunity to create that uniformity in these types of agreements going forward. If the board wants to then extend it beyond that, that's the will of the board.
I have no strong feelings.
I think we discussed that at the last meeting and just decided that would be a reasonable thing. I have no problems going one way or the other, but.
Any other questions on it?
I think the only open, sorry,
ahead.
Tom, the only open question is, I think there are recommendations to everything, which makes it very easy. So good job, staff. The only one where there's not a recommendation that I saw is 2.1.
Yes, sorry.
And the term of the agreement. So if we can get some clarity in terms of what's recommended there, then that would make consideration a lot easier.
In the body, it says 10 years, but when you look at the fee schedule, it's only noted 5 years. There is some various, like I've noted in there, the current Comcast agreement for the building is 10 years with additional 5 years terms. The Fiber Tech one that we have is 5-year initial terms with an option of 4 5-year terms, additional terms. Do we want to go 10 years or do we want to just do 5?
You're giving prices for 5 years, I see. Did we want to increase it after 5 years? What was your thinking? I mean, it seems
I don't know.
nothing stays the same in cost. I wouldn't go any more than 5 years.
But I think, yeah, I think in this case, since this is dealing a lot with the FCC, I don't know how much of the 270 is going to change. So the option was doing shorter if the opportunity was to be able to increase.
Right. Yeah.
It's just there is a little bit of, again, we would just have to add 5 more years to the schedule of fees.
Would there be any advantage to? Because we're giving it, we're leasing it to them for 10 years. We're only giving them a price for 5 years. Is there any reason we shouldn't put some wording at the end of that?
I agree with Press. I mean, I think that the options are, I mean, what you could do is you could make a 5-year agreement and then they'd have to renew it thereafter. If you keep it at a 10-year, you can add, the additional 5 years at 270, or you could keep it at 5-year, subject to increase. The unknown is exactly what Robin said in terms of your ability to increase given the FCC overlay. So, I mean, those are really the 3 options in terms of how you want to handle it.
It seems like it's such a changing technology that even predicting what's going to be available in 5 years, so that maybe 5 years with a option to renew for 5 years for a 10-year term.
At the same price, though?
That's the thing, yeah, the price maybe.
Are you talking about just the agreement or just the fee schedule? In other words, are you saying the whole agreement 5 years with option to renew or just a fee schedule with option to renew?
Well, I don't think they would install equipment without a 10-year commitment, but I was looking for a way that you could.
Okay.
I'm not saying we give a price after 5 years, but should we put some wording there that gives us, that tells them that we're going to reevaluate the number after 5 years?
Yeah, that's where I was going, but I'm not sure.
Maybe do 5 years, subject to 5 years with the option of a 5-year extension, subject to
A
review.
prevailing price or something.
Yeah. Or as outlined by the FCC, something.
Well, that's a prevailing price works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Any other questions?
No.
So I think we need a motion then to approve the agreement with the modifications as stated.
Can the modifications be restated again?
That the term be 10 years with 5 years fee schedule and renewable for 5 years at the prevailing rates.
Okay,
And,
thank
and
you.
with the caveat that you're deferring to staff to incorporate that language. And obviously, if there is any material change discussion, we'll bring it back.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to so moved.
Second,
Well said.
Second,
on the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Nice job. That's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah, yeah.
We were looking at him, just so you know. With an assist, with an assist.
Call to the public. Call to the press. Aaron?
Oh, sorry.
Got him off guard.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry
now
about that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I had two questions. The waiver denial, can the applicant come back and request services as long as they include water?
They've already got permission for
They've
that.
already, they already have permission from city council.
Okay. Okay. So they would just have to say that we want water in addition to the sewer. Is that correct?
Correct, and pay all the applicable impact fees and fees associated with the construction cost.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to clarify, the waiver request, so right now, they have available to them water and sewer, and the requirement of the board's policy is that if you connect to one, you must connect to the other. The waiver request was to only connect to one, that was denied. So the current state is that if you're connecting to one, you must connect to the other.
Gotcha. Thank you for that clarification. And the other question I had, I'm trying to do a story on the potential 5G placement, and I cannot currently find anything around town other than the water tower for the 5G. Is that the only location in Lewes where 5G towers are currently located?
Yes, unless somebody put it on a pole we didn't see.
They have not. I drove around today. So thank you very much. I appreciate that clarification.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Aaron.
How recent picture, Aaron?
Yeah. That's my college lacrosse. I know. I got to update that. I will get that work.
All right, thank you very much, Aaron. Okay, I have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone else.
Big crowd.